Hey guys, today I want to talk to you a little bit about how your actions have consequences here in the Philippines. Now we all know the old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. But here in the Philippines, I'm going to talk to you about three guys, three expats. I'm going to talk to you about Mark and Gary, who are both residents here near Dumaguete, and talk to you about Ted, who was an overstay on his visa for many years. And we did a video about Gary and Ted. But before we get there, I want to tell you about what happened to me just a couple hours ago. Janet and I went into Tom Tom's to have our morning coffee, and we're sitting looking out the window, the front glass of Tom Tom's, and overlooking the boulevard. And for those of you who have been to Dumaguete, you know what that looks like. It's a beautiful view. But we saw this guy, a Filipino, an older gentleman, walked over to the trash bin. And he opened up the two trash bins, and he took out what somebody threw away as a drink, a plastic cup with a straw in it. And he put that there. And he kept rummaging through the trash. And I think he was looking for food. He ended up finding two coffee cups. He took the lids off, and he started pouring the leftover coffee into each one to mix it. And he took one, put the lids back on the trash, and he started walking away. And I just looked at Janet. I said, man, that is so sad. This guy's not asking for a handout. He doesn't have his handout. He's not bothering nobody. He's just looking to get some food and something to drink. Well, he got a little head start on me, and I went out the door, and I started walking after him. And around the corner, I caught up to him. And I didn't touch him at the point. I just said, hey. And he turned like in fear, like, what do you want? Don't bother me. But I reached out and I handed him 500 pesos. And then I just tapped him on the shoulder, said, God bless, and walked away. And what I was amazed at was two truck drivers pulled up. And both of them said to me, that was very nice. Thank you for what you did. And the other one just put his hands together and said, thank you. That was very nice. People are always watching what you do, and I'm sure they were watching me thinking maybe I had bad intentions to this poor guy. But we reached out, and I went in and I told Janet what I did. She didn't know I was going to do it, and she understood. And she is one of these girls who doesn't like giving money to beggars, especially the bagjao, I believe they're called here on the boulevard, that are always begging. You know, they send their kids up to you with their hand out, and the kid doesn't leave. He makes contact with you, and it's just like a professional beggar. But this poor guy, down on his luck, who knows, you know, what's going on in his life. I didn't want to buy him anything. I just wanted to give him some money and let him go on with his life with dignity, the best I could.
And so I took this fellow out to dinner, and as we were walking out, there's this older lady, really old, and she was walking, and her husband, who was blind, had his hand on her shoulder. He was walking, and she come up to me, and I took out some money, and I gave it to her. And he said, I don't give money to anybody. You give one, you got to give it to them all. And I thought, really? Who said, who made up that rule?
That's a new rule to me.
So what I fall back on, if I have the money and I want to give it, I give it. And if either one of those factors, I don't have it, of course I can't. But if I don't want to, I don't, and I don't feel guilty about it.
Don't feel guilty about it. But let's get back to these three gentlemen, Mark, Gary, and Ted. And let's first talk about Ted. Ted, I did a video about his overstay. This was back around Christmas time of last year. Met him up in Cebu City, and we talked to him, and he was here for 8 years. And for the last 5 years, he overstayed, and his passport is expiring, and he didn't know what to do. I'll put a little clip here so you can get the idea of what the story is about. If you didn't see the video, I also have the video down in the description if you want to watch it, and it's also at the end of this video. At the end screen, there'll be a video that you could click on to watch this video. But his story is he's been here 8 years, and during that 8 years, at the end of the 3 years when he was supposed to leave the country and do a visa run and come back, he didn't have the funds for that. So he didn't go. And he just lived with his girlfriend in the girlfriend's family compound. And he just kept putting it off. And once he got behind, he got scared. And I asked him about that. I said, once you got behind, couldn't you have gone down there and explained something? Couldn't you tell them that you were having some financial difficulty? And he was in fear. He heard stories of people getting thrown in jail. He's heard stories of people being locked up and then deported. And he just didn't want to face it. And he procrastinated. Over the time, days, weeks, months, and now years, he is so far behind. He's like at a loss. So Ted got in this situation, and how did he get out of it? Well, we talked to Ted. I got his contact information, and I told Ted, man, you better get hold of some family or something. And he said he didn't know how to do that. I sent a couple emails to some contacts he gave me. We finally got hold of a family member, and the family helped him out. They arranged to get a lawyer for him here in the Philippines, and he's back in the U.S. now, but I talked to him video chat the other day, and here's what happened. The family hired a lawyer for him, and the lawyer was $1,200 USD, $1,200, and that lawyer did a great job. The lawyer helped him get with the BI and find out exactly how much he owed, and contacted the family, said this is the best negotiated price I got. It ended up being about 2,000 USD to pay the Bureau of Immigration for all his past visa fees, express fees, and whatnot. He got that all paid ahead of time. And then the lawyer helped him go make arrangements to meet with the Bureau of Immigration and get his exit clearance. And this lawyer did a great job keeping him out of jail, keeping him out of BI detention, because right away he had money and was able to give the BI the money that they were supposed to have. And I don't know, money always gets you out of problems. I don't know if that helped also, but he ended up not having to go to the Bureau of Immigration detention. He ended up going to the Bureau of Immigration to get his exit clearance. And then he went directly to the airport, got on a plane, and he went back home to his family in the U.S. And when I talked to him, he said he's never coming back. He's too old, too fragile. His money's not strong enough. He only makes underneath $800 a month in pension. So he needs to stay in the U.S. close to his family. Now let's talk about Gary. Gary's another one we did a video about. And also I have that video down in the description if you want to watch it. And it's also at the end of this video, also at the end screen where you just click on it. Gary, you guys remember, he's real arrogant and he's a procrastinator. And what Gary did was he got stopped at a checkpoint. And I'll show you a little bit. This is not the checkpoint he got stopped at. This is just a checkpoint that I had on some B-roll. But Gary got stopped at the checkpoint. He did not have his registration up to date. And if you watch my video, you see he didn't want to wait in the long lines to get his registration done. He just put it off. He just kept procrastinating getting his registration done on his motorbike. Well, he finally got through a checkpoint. And other years, last year, you could go through a checkpoint as a foreigner if you had your helmet on, your shoes. They normally waved you through. But this time, and in 2024, I've noticed this, so the LTO is cracking down on expired registration. And at these checkpoints where the Highway Patrol is handling the checkpoints, they were impounding motorbikes and cars. Here in the Dumaguete area, if you don't have a license, they'll confiscate your bike. If you're driving without a helmet, they can give you a citation or they can take your bike. The Highway Patrol is a strict arm of the law here. They really don't deviate from what they're supposed to do, not like the local police who each officer can do. They're also checking your driver's license. The 4 times I've been stopped at a checkpoint this year, 2024, they've always asked me for my driver's license, they asked for my registration, and they matched the registration to my license plate. So make sure you have everything in order. But Gary didn't. And when the police stopped him, he started arguing with the police, telling them that it was their fault because the LTO is too slow and the lines were too long for him to get his motorbike registered this year. And that didn't cut it with the police. The one officer told Gary that he was going to file charges against Gary because Gary was yelling at him. But they impounded his motorbike. Fast forward to now, the officer never filed charges against him, lucky Gary, but he did have to get a lawyer because he was scared. He thought there was charges against him. And the lawyer helped him get his bike out of impound, pay all his fines, and get his bike registered. So he's better off now. Total cost was about $600 to $700 US to get this done, all because he procrastinated and did not get his motorbike registered. So your actions and the consequences for your actions, if you put things off, eventually you're going to get caught. You know, so you guys, if you got a motorbike or driver's license, get it all up to date. Now let's talk about Mark. Mark lives here in Subalan. And Mark has been here for 2 years. He's been in the Philippines for 5. But he's been here in the Dumaguete area for 2 years. And he just completed a 1-year lease at the house he's renting. And he contacted me. We've met before, but he contacted me and said, Mike, I moved out of my house and the landlord won't give me my deposit. So I asked him, why can't you get your deposit? What did the landlord say? Gary goes, I don't know. I pay my rent on time. I have all the receipts. I pay all my bills on time. There's no damage to the house. Even when I left, I asked the landlord, when am I going to get my deposit? And the landlord told me, you're going to get it in 3 days. So Mark said, okay, that's acceptable. He moved into his new house, and after 5 days, he didn't hear nothing. He contacted the landlord, and the landlord said, I'm not giving you your deposit back. There's too much damage in the house. Didn't know what to do. Now he's mad because he took good care of this house. He paid his bills on time, and he called me. He said, Mike, what do you do? What do you do in this situation? You know, I do rental videos. I know realtors. What do you do? I told him to go contact the barangay captain of the barangay that he used to live in and tell him your story. Well, he went there. He made an appointment to see the barangay captain. He showed up at the appointment, the scheduled time, and he was surprised the landlord was there also. And the barangay captain asked Mark, he said, Mark, what's your problem? Tell me what's wrong. And Mark told him, I want my security deposit back. Here's all my rent receipts. Rent is paid on time. Here's my utility bill receipts. All the utilities have been paid. And he also had a video of the inside of the house showing no damage. The barangay captain turned to the landlord and said, what's wrong? Why won't you give him his deposit back? And the landlord told him, there's damages in the house. I'm going to hold the deposit to take care of the damages. Well, Mark, he started to tell him, all those damages, that's wear and tear. That's not damage. Fading paint, you know, the coconut tree, the big branch fell off, I guess. I don't know the whole story, but there's some landscaping issues. And he told him, you know, all that damages in the landscaping and the fading paint's not my fault. That's normal wear and tear. Well, to make a long story short, the barangay captain dismissed Mark. He said, you can go now. And Mark got up and he left, and he, you know, all he thought about when he left, and the landlord stayed there, was these two are going to split my deposit. You know, I'm the foreigner, the skin tax, it's all gone. I'm not going to get it. 2 days later, the landlord shows up at Mark's new house where he's renting, knocks on the door. Mark opens the door, and the landlord hands him an envelope, and in the envelope is his $50,000. You know, he was paying $25,000 a month rent, 2 months security deposit. He got the whole thing back, and he had us sign a receipt saying he received it. So we had coffee, and we were talking about this. What do you think happened? And what I think happened is the barangay captains are so good at compromising, negotiating, saving face of everybody, that he sent you out of the room. And the barangay captain probably told the landlord, what the heck are you thinking? Give the guy his deposit. You know, he did nothing wrong. But he did this behind closed doors where Mark didn't see it. The guy could save a little bit of face. Probably the secretary didn't even hear it, and he came to you and paid you your deposit because the barangay captain ordered that. So here you have 3 different examples of how to handle different situations. If you overstay, get an attorney. Get somebody who can deal with the BI for you, the Bureau of Immigration. 2, if you get a ticket and they impound your motorbike and all this stuff, maybe get an attorney, but keep your registrations up to date and you won't have these kind of problems. And 3, if you have a small issue in the barangay, get to know the barangay captain. You know, get to know your rights. And your rights are that you can go there and tell him, we have a problem with another neighbor. We have a problem with somebody. Somebody's damaging my property. Someone's threatening me. Handle it at the lowest level possible, and you probably get quicker results than, you know, drawing it out, making a big court case out of it. Just go see the barangay captain. And that worked out for Mark. So there were 3 examples of what happened. Each one handled it differently, and all 3 had a good outcome. The only one who really got hurt the most was Gary, because he should never have had to pay all that money to get his motorbike impounded. So, guys, and remember, when you're in Dumaguete, have a little bit of charity, help out the poor if you can. If you see somebody who needs some help, give them a couple pesos. It's not going to hurt you, and it's going to make you feel good. It made me feel real good today. So until next time, thanks, guys.